Talked about the California train debacle by accident. There's a question from Louis Anderson. Hope we covered that. Um, okay, here we go. There's a couple questions. One from Merlin, who, again, we're very happy to hear good news from. And another one right below that from Charles Tomes, and they're both about Jussie Smollett, which we have done a right angle on, which I suspect is up by now, but if not, it will be. So we both, that's a particular show I brought, and Scott and Steve have some great things to say about it too. But to answer both of these questions just very briefly, for those of you that are not familiar with it, Jussie Smollett is an actor, young black gay actor on Empire, which is a very popular show. And he basically claimed that he was assaulted, called the N word and the F word by unidentified right-wing conservatives who were wearing MAGA hats, Make America Great Again hats, and when they said there's no place for an N like you in our America, needless to say, every single left-winger said, see, here's the evidence that Donald Trump supporters are just horrible, nasty racists, and all of this racism in America and hatred that we've been talking about forever. Here's a perfect example of it. Yeah, in MAGA country. Well, it turns out that the two people doing the beating and the cursing and the insulting were Nigerians, extras on the show that Jussie hired to rough him up a little bit, and so that he could do the one thing that he had to do given his background and his political leanings, and that is to achieve recognition by the only means that really matters, and that is by achieving victimhood. He basically, yes, I called it Laoyus AOC, sorry if I didn't get that right. Synthetic outrage, I've been talking about this for a while. When there's not enough actual injustice in America to produce some evidence, and there isn't, then they have to make synthetic injustice. They have to manufacture it. And, oh good, he was charged with a felony, good. He called the police, said he'd been beaten up, and what Jussie Smollett did was, he bore false witness against all of us. He basically bore false witness against conservatives, against Trump supporters, against Republicans, against white people. He basically told the world that we had committed a crime against him, that wasn't committed, that he actually happened. And here's the thing about this with the Jussie thing. The Jussie thing is really important because the left claims that there's so much racism and homophobia in America that it's not safe for people, and therefore we need the left in order to change this horribly corrupt society. But when you look at the entire United States of America over the course of years and years and years, and you can't find one single episode, not one episode, where it actually happens, and you are forced to manufacture evidence to prove a point of view about people you disagree with, you're convinced they're racist, but there's no evidence that they're racist, so I'm going to make evidence to show that they're racist. Well, that is evidence. It's not just an absence of evidence. In other words, it's not just showing that there's no sign of, there's no proof that there's racism in America and homophobia. It's not only a lack of proof, it is in fact proof that there isn't any. If you have to manufacture an event in order to claim that this country is as biased and as hateful as you claim it is, and if you cannot find a single example of this, and in order to prove it, you have to create the evidence, then that is not just a lack of proving that this is a racist country. It proves that it's not a racist country. It is not just absence of evidence. It is evidence of absence. It's not there. And that's the most important thing about this. And during the right angle, we also talk about having him erased from history and all the rest of it, which is also kind of interesting. I won't bore you with that. I think maybe we'll do one more and then we will call it a night. I'll head back to my beautiful wife who's presumably watching this. And